Off the Hook, airing on offthehooksports.com. Your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. The Off the Hook podcast at offthehooksports.com or Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or wherever you go for your favorite podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Off the Hook with Dave Hooker starts now.
Here we go on a Monday, and it was a pretty monumental Monday as a lot of things happened in Tennessee athletics, including Las Vegas thinks that the Vols are going to beat Florida, and a surprising number that came out from DraftKings we will discuss. Amanda LaFratta, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm well. So quite a weekend. Somehow my daughter turned 20, and on the other end of the spectrum, you were with your nephew, who is just but a babe. So
3 months.
What do we learn from that? People get old quick. I want to remind you to subscribe and like on YouTube. We would love to bring you this content each and every weekday at at 9 a.m. And we also have a ton from Chris Landry coming up. We have Jacob Warren and we have Cooper Mace, current Vols, that are on our YouTube page. So you never know when you're going to get a surprise or a sneak peek on YouTube. So please subscribe there. We want you to be a part of the program. And we're here every day at 9 a.m. and the response has been tremendous. So thank you. Let's start before we get to headlines. If we can, Amanda, you're on your way home from Nashville and you texted me like, hey, can you get this? I was like, sure. And or you wrote it. I can't even remember who wrote it at this point. But 5.5-point favorites. Amanda, were you surprised to see Tennessee being a 5.5-point favorite according to DraftKings? Now, was it DraftKings?
It was DraftKings where I found it. Yeah.
So I'm admittedly going to say I'm ignorant when it comes to a lot of gambling things. So I'm going to step out and lean on you here. Okay. So when I see 5.5, two things go through my mind. When you texted me that, the first thing was like, that's too high. I had it about a 2.5, 3-point Tennessee favorite at home. To me, that was too high. But anyway, they know more than I do. The other thing is, with all the lists and the stuff and getting people's attention and all that we do, Amanda, does any of that go on in gambling? I mean, could that number be said to be 5.5? Work with me here. I can tell I'm being a little bit confusing. But could that number be 5.5 now to get our attention and the attention of other Tennessee and Florida fans and end up at 2.5 or 3? Do gambling sites do things like that?
No.
Okay.
No. Because they would lose.
Right?
Not even that. You would lose a lot of money. The gambling sites are going to put the line at where they think it will be. They will put the line, and there's a reason Vegas always wins. And they put the line at where they think that it will be. So if they say they believe it starts out at 5.5, then they mean that they believe Tennessee will win by probably 6, at least 5 or 6. But however
to interrupt for 1 second, for gambling novices, and I am that. But this is one thing I did figure out early in gambling. Really, Vegas doesn't care if they win by 5 or 6. They just want the betting to be equal on both sides, so they make the juice, which is 10%. Correct?
I'm not sure about 10%, but yes,
theoretically,
they want to take your money. So, however they can do that is how they'll do that. So, the only time the lines will move Vegas wise, if people bet on one side or the other. So if everyone's taking Tennessee at -5.5, then the lines will start moving up. So it'll start moving to 6 points, to 6.5, to 7 points. It'll start moving according to how people are betting because they want it to even out.
Okay,
but Vegas.
Let me ask you this. Where do you think this number moves? I'm not just talking about in a couple of days. I'm talking about in the coming weeks. Now, if everybody stays healthy, where do you think this number might potentially move? Because, again, I was blown away by 5.5.
So I think it just depends on how much what we see coming out of the gate. as far as how well Tennessee plays or how well Florida plays or how, bad they play. That will make sense as far as the line movement goes for this game, as far as the spread goes. But you also have to take into consideration that there's a 3-point give to the home team.
Right.
So whereas you'll think Tennessee is a 2.5, 3-point favorite, at 5.5, Vegas will tend to agree with you. They just give 3 points to the home team. So really Tennessee is a 2.5-point favorite.
Sure.
However,
no, I definitely get that. So neutral site, they would be about a field goal somewhere in
yes.
there. Maybe a little more, maybe 3.5. All right. So today's tough question coming up on the program. Also, as I mentioned, Chris Landry will join us, our new Monday and Thursday guest. It gives you a great opportunity to go ahead and ask about your favorite team. We're going to talk a lot about Tennessee and SEC, don't get me wrong. But if you got a question about the Chargers and what they're going to do this year, Chris Landry can answer those questions. So feel free to buzz us via the many ways that you can send us a message. Of course, YouTube, Facebook, and the Twitter, as the kids call it. So with Amanda LaFratta, I'm Dave Hooker. Let's get to headlines. Headlines are right now as headlines, Amanda. We started with the 5.5 that Tennessee is favored, but there was more news coming out of the weekend. Tennessee hit the practice field over the weekend on Saturday and then on Sunday, as well as there will be a light day today and then a scrimmage tomorrow. And a lot of questions about that scrimmage heading into day one. Number one will be Darnell Wright. Is he at right tackle permanently now? I think we'll know that within the next 8 days, and who steps in at left tackle. Dylan Sampson, what type of running back is he? Justin Williams-Thomas is the bigger back that is expected to be, air quotes, the back. What happens with him? So, and then what do you do with Rue McCoy, who's still waiting on that judgment from the NCAA? I've seen these things drag on to game week. Now, this is 20 years ago, and this is a different NCAA and all that. But at some point, Amanda, you got to get frustrated if he's not been cleared when, and I think you'll agree with me, sometimes I don't know, but it sounds like something you might have said about a guy named Deshaun Watson. Now, this is way different, but in the court of public opinion for domestic assault, Brew McCoy, the court came out and said there will be no charges. So why is anybody holding up him to play football? I mean, at least with Watson, there were 20-some people. You could make that argument. But, Amanda, I don't know why Brew McCoy hasn't been cleared already based off everything that I've read.
Because it's virtue signaling.
What is you use that before online? I don't know what that means. What is virtue signaling?
So virtue signaling is pretending to care about something that you really don't care about, pretending to have a strong stance one way or the other on either something you really don't care about or that you're not knowledgeable about, only to appear virtuous.
Okay, so the Amanda Heard Johnny Depp thing. I thought that was
yes.
And by the way,
Amber Heard.
What's that?
Amber. No, you said Amanda Heard.
Same thing. Amber Heard. Good morning to you as well, Cameron. Yeah, Cade Mays was pretty close to being announced a starter last year. I don't know if it's game week, but it was close. And he was a transfer as well. So, so the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing did nothing for me. So virtually, it just didn't, tickle my fancy. Some people it did. I know intelligent people that want to watch it every day. That's great. It just didn't do it for me. So if I were to say, get on the Twitter and use avatars and all this thing and say, darn it, whatever, the little graphics, the GIFs, the GIFs, the JPEGs. If I were to use all those things and say, by golly, that Johnny Depp has been wronged and I'm insulted and offended about it and angry, when really I didn't care at all, that would be virtue signaling, right?
Well, we saw a lot of virtue signaling with that case, because people
Yes.
came out and supported Amber Heard, even to the point that they kicked Johnny Depp out of the Fantastic Beasts movies. They kicked
They
him
also
out.
kicked him out of the Drunken Pirate movies too, didn't they?
I don't know about that, but are they making those anymore? I hope
Yeah,
not.
they
There's
were
like
about
15.
that to me. Listen, you know more than I do probably about this, but that to me, I thought was the crux. He was just signed or getting ready to sign a $150 million contract for the Drunk Pirates of the Caribbean, and they were going to make like 3 more, and Disney backed out when the Amber
I
Heard.
thought that was Fantastic Beasts, but maybe I'm wrong.
I know I definitely could be wrong. Go ahead.
But anywho, everyone came out in support of Amber Heard, how Johnny Depp was abusive and yada, yada, yada. And then everyone switched over once they realized that Amber Heard was actually the crazy one when it came out in court. So court of public opinion and court of law are completely different, and no one will ever, they'll never admit to being wrong either. They never will.
Nah. John writing with Wright and Cooper. I feel like these two are high-end SEC linemen. He's referring to Darnell Wright, who looks like he's going to be at right tackle. I agree with that, and we're going to have some comments a little bit later, John, you want to listen to. But, pardon me, Cooper talking about Darnell Wright and the athlete he is. It's pretty phenomenal. The guy can do a backflip at 330 pounds. Also, I know, is that not insane? I saw the face.
Yeah.
330 pounds backflip.
I
And
used to be able to
you
do
were
a
a tumbler.
backflip. Yes, but not 330 pounds.
I know. Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
I got you pegged for like what, $108. So
We'll go with that.
Cooper Mays, I agree with you, John, is one of the top offensive linemen. That's why he was preseason All SEC. I think Tennessee suddenly, their offensive line, if you take into these 3 factors, 4 starters returning, Darnell Wright willing to be flexible and move to the right, Cooper Mays in what is arguably the most important position is incredibly intelligent and big and strong. Let's assume he stays healthy. Tennessee's offensive line can go from giving up the most sacks in the SEC to being, dare I say, a team strength in 2022. Am I reaching, Amanda?
I don't think you're reaching. I think chemistry has a lot to do with how lines protect quarterbacks. If you can't trust the person next to you, to your left or to your right, then you're going to be overcompensating. If you don't have that chemistry, you're not going to be able to tell how your teammates are going to play. And I feel like if you have that chemistry, if you kind of grow together, you're going to be better. You're going to get better as the years progress. So I think this could be a definite strength for Tennessee this year.
No, and a couple of other notes as headlines brought to you today by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. You need to certainly check them out if anything's wrong with the HVAC unit because it's all about integrity. So some more news. Then the Vols get up on Sunday, and we had talked extensively about how Hendon Hooker likes to listen to gospel music on game day. And then you have the Vols go out there blaring gospel music. And I thought it was just really cool. It made me think of 2 things. One, third down for what? Which thank goodness that is gone.
That should
And
die.
that was like kind of cool the first time you heard it, and then just a little cool the second time you heard it, and the third time you heard it, it was awful, and then it continued on for years. So I thought of that being gone, and then I did one time remember a Tennessee coach, and I'm not going to tell you who said, "Who in the bleepity bleep is playing Sweet Home Alabama at Lindsey Nelson Stadium during practice?" And they were blaring Sweet Home Alabama as a pregame just to test all the speakers, not thinking that the Vols are practicing about, 50 feet away. So those were my 2 moments that I came away from when I thought about that. But
that was not me. I did not do that.
no,
That was not
and
me.
they were not singing about you either. But they could have been because you're sweet.
That's awkward. No, but I went to Tennessee.
What's wrong with saying you're a sweet person?
Nothing, but no one would be singing about me. But I went to Tennessee, and I did not blare Sweet Home Alabama at
No.
in Neyland
It's
Stadium or anywhere
Tennessee
near it.
and Alabama. She's like a General Bear. Craft Treats is where you need to go. Craft Treats, you laugh.
I got it. Yeah, I got it.
CraftTreats.com, and Craft Treats can give you the products that your pets need to chill out, to calm down. And I know Amanda used it over the weekend because she had to drive to Nashville.
I
And
did.
yeah, instead of drugging up Ava with all the unnatural stuff, she went with Craft Treats. Craft Treats was just napping the whole way. Sparta, who needs Sparta? I'm napping.
My mom needs some now because I was telling her about, she has a small dog. Her name is Daisy. And I was telling her about Ava, and Daisy is terrified of thunderstorms, and everything that they've tried doesn't work. You know, she still like cries. And I was telling her about the Craft Treats, and she was like, I need to try those. I really do, because my mom will not try anything unless like she knows for a fact it is 100% great. And she was like, I need to try these. And I was like, yes, you do. So we have to get my mom a bag.
I love it. I'm down for it. So Tennessee will meet with the media this afternoon. I'm sorry, this morning, depending on when you're listening. They are set to meet with the media shortly before noon. On Monday, we'll have coverage at offthehooksports.com. Some more national news that I wanted to touch base on. Oh, and something that Amanda wrote over the weekend. Hendon Hooker shoes at SEC Media Days, like $900.
At least.
Yeah, somebody close to me said those were like $1,000 shoes, and I thought they were totally kidding. But
No.
the rest of it, maybe is that the style now? The rest of it is just a clean, dark gray, black suit. It didn't see. Used to be they'd come in and you'd be wearing all your school colors, and I mean all your school colors. Like if you were Georgia, you'd wear a red suit, and it used to be all goofy like they still do in the NFL draft, but Hendon just rolled in there with a pair of $1,000 shoes and a regular old sport coat and looked like the cat's meow.
I guarantee you that wasn't a regular old sport coat, because according
Agreed.
to Jacob Warren, Hendon is very into high fashion. And that's not unusual. People think, oh, he's into high fashion. No, that's actually not unusual for a lot of these athletes. But he had the Louboutins, the red bottoms.
Is it Louis Vuitton or Louis Vuitton?
No, Louis Vuitton is. Where's my purse? Louis Vuitton is like bags, and they do make shoes and stuff like that, but they're mainly known for their bags. It's the brown canvas, like leather mix thing that you see with the LVs. That's Louis Vuitton. Christian Louboutins are shoes, and they are known for the bottom of the shoe is red. So they're called red bottoms. And you'll know, and sometimes people call them bloody just because they're red on the bottom. But like Cardi B raps about them, so
What was it, Tom Cruise? You said you had me at hello, you lost me at Louis.
It's not. It's never Louis. It's Louboutin. It's not Louis.
Okay. This happens every year. It's almost like a tradition. Is it almost not like a tradition in college football? Not necessarily college football, but athletics. Every once in a while, a dude says the N-word, and he shouldn't. And
Lord, who did it this time?
I know. Why do people do this? It makes no sense to me. So, it was Caleb Gundy. I don't know 100% that it's. I'm going to explain. I don't know 100% that it was the N-word, but he's been on Oklahoma's sidelines and is the longest tenured football coach in the Big 12. He resigned on Sunday night. And after reading off of a player's iPad in front of the whole team what he had written on his iPad, which included something that he found quite distasteful and thought the need to step away, which is probably the N-word. So just why? When you see that as a Caucasian person, why even go there? I have this conversation with my kids who will slip in a curse word. I'm like, it's just lazy, if nothing else. It's offensive, yes, but it's also just dumb, in this case, to use the N-word in any sort of public setting. In front of 45 players or however many he had in that grouping. That's just dumb.
So he was reading something?
Yes. He was reading something off of a player's iPad that had been shared on the big screen. And he read something. I mean, I don't 100% know that's the N word. That's the only thing that I can imagine that you would just get up and walk away from. So he picked up the player's iPad and read the whole words because he was being ignored in the meeting, essentially. So he picked up the player's iPad and he read what the player had on his iPad. And I'm
So
sure
he didn't use it it didn't come from him like in a derogatory sense. He just said it as he read
just
something.
read it off the iPad. So is that well, it's a resignable offense because he resigned, but is that a fireable offense?
Apparently. I don't see this is my opinion, and again, I will go into the fact that I am like mixed race. I'm not, I've Asian, like my grandmother is 100% Korean. And so when I have to fill out things, I have to fill out 2 or more races. There's nothing in this world that someone could say to me or call me that's going to change my view on myself. Like, it's just not. Words are words, and they're just words. If you want to, if you want to die, I don't like I don't like it.
I was gonna start with like cracker or something, play off the white things.
That's not gonna.
That's as far as I was gonna go. I wasn't gonna go any deeper and get myself in trouble. I didn't know that you were part Asian.
Yeah, I'm a quarter Korean.
Quarter Korean?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
That and a quarter in Korea will get you a cup of soup.
What?
A quarter in Korea?
No, it won't. It won't. The egg drop soup is not Korean.
I
Okay.
was trying.
Anywho, but did you offend me by that? No.
No.
You're not gonna offend me. That's stupid. I don't get offended by stuff like that. However, and reading something, I feel is completely different than saying something out of malice. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I think
like coming at somebody
but
to be hurtful.
I think you would agree that we're to the point where you just probably should exclude that word if you're a Caucasian, right?
I mean, probably that would be good. That's in your best interest.
Yeah.
However, I don't see the whole people getting, and I'm not saying this is an example. Well, this is an example, but people getting offended for every little thing it's driving me insane. It's driving me insane.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you there because there's a lot of that. John saying Deion Sanders look good, feel good, play good. I use Hendon using Prime's example. Yeah, I can see something.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Chris Landry is going to join us next, and as you grow with us, we certainly appreciate that. Those that listened, the numbers have been through the roof. So we're trying something new that Amanda is at best lukewarm on. Okay, but it's meant to enhance her brand and what she does on this show and the work that she puts into today's tough question. So, God willing, this element will run correctly as I rewired my whole studio. It is time for today's tough question. I'm not going to tell you who the sponsor is yet, just in case it doesn't work right.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Have you done your research? We're working like heck.
Today's tough question.
Wait a second.
Real debate.
You sipping my soup, eh?
So we'll just start it all over and pretend that didn't happen. All right, here we go.
We do our research. Have you done your research? We're working like heck.
Today's tough question. What's the real debate?
You sipping my soup, eh, Guadalupe?
Exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker and Amanda LaFratta.
You drinking my sake, kimosabi? Oh, my God.
There's 3 former Tennessee coaches in there, and I had another one at my disposal that I could have used. Thank you. All right,
brick by brick.
That was stupid. I saw that one, and that was way too easy. That was like low-hanging fruit. All right, so what do we got for today's tough question? A ton going on.
So I was going to do the playoff of the Tennessee-Florida line set at 5.5. So either I was going to say, should it be less than 5.5, 5.5 exactly, or more than 5.5?
I love it.
Okay.
It's gold, Jerry. Gold. At first, by the way, showcasing Gran Torino for a moment reminded me of when I was younger and used to go to their concerts. We have written permission by Gran Torino to use their music. But when I first played some of this for Amanda, Amanda said, "What are we going to be like in a 70s cop show?"
That feels like.
Oh, she's got the gun. Oh, are you Charlie's Angels? She's just shooting. Yeah, that's her shooting.
Got it.
Chris Landry is going to join us. Should we bring him back to some of the 70s music?
It's hurtful.
It's really not 70s. It's 90s. More after this. Chris Landry up next. We're back in just 2 minutes.
Gary Viles here. I want to personally invite you to North Knoxville's newest sports bar and restaurant. It's Big Orange Phillies, located in Black Oak Center. And yes, folks, it's happening in Halls. Big Orange Phillies offers family-friendly environment with homemade meals and the best deli-style subs around. Billiards, darts, jukebox, shuffleboard, and cornhole, and a full bar. We also offer valet parking on weekends and during special events. We even have a covered back patio. It's happening at Big Orange Phillies. We want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
This is Al's Dish Barbecue Supply, so come on in and see all the different rubs and sauces we have, plus a complete line of Green Mountain grills. Don't be overwhelmed. We have plenty of help so you can produce the best barbecue and amaze your family and friends. Barbecue is America's food. We'll do what we can to bring you all the best products. We're Al's Nest Barbecue, but Chattanooga goes to grill.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
Well, it's a great time to pick up a cup of coffee. And you need to go to Honey Bee Coffee. Honey Bee Coffee will certainly take care of you, Amanda. Like 100% of the beans in all of existence. So it is awesome. They got to get to Honey Bee Coffee, and you can order online.
Yeah, it's great. It's great coffee. It's a great product, veteran owned, the best beans in the world that you can find, and just. I always say, go to the bee, not the bucks.
Go to the bee, not the bucks, or go to the bean, not the green. A great human bean.
No more bean jokes. I'm done with the bean
jokes. That's it.
No more bean jokes. That's it. I'm calling it a day on the bean jokes.
Have I been doing it too long? Chris is laughing.
I'm done. I'm done with this today.
I can Google my list if you want. I've got a bunch of good ones. All right. So Chris's appearance brought to you today by our friends at the Mattress Place. The Mattress Place is right there on Chapman Highway, and the Mattress Place, no gimmicks, 30 to 70% off every day, veteran owned. The reviews are incredible. Chris, let's get right to it. First, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Amanda. Hope you guys had a great weekend.
Yep, we're good. Go to LandryFootball.com if you want the insight and you want to learn more than any of your fans know about football. So I know you're not a gambling guy. That's not something you cover on your site. You cover the X's and O's and the things that I really like, personnel and stuff like that. So, but you do have your finger on the pulse enough to know what a 5.5 point spread is. And I thought Tennessee favored over Florida by 5.5, which was released by DraftKings yesterday, and part of that's to get attention, Chris. We know that the game hasn't even, they haven't even played games before.
No, it's not.
I think a little of it's to get attention, but anyway, nevertheless, 5.5 points. Tennessee a 5.5 point favorite, almost a touchdown.
Well, as you guys both know, and talking with a lot of people in the gambling world that involved in making lines, the goal is to get equal amount of money on both sides.
Right.
So it's about anticipating where the betting public thinks the favorite is, and that often coincides with how maybe people in Vegas think, but they're thinking in terms of the market really is like the stock market. How do you think people are going to respond to it? It's no one really knows, and I would say this, that there's a perception, right or wrong. Tennessee off of a good year, second year of a coach, a lot of unknowns with Florida, so there's not as much. Let Florida come out and be really impressive, then that line could change based upon, people are going to think, well, Florida's better than we thought, or they're not as good as we thought, whatever the case may be. But so I don't really look at it a whole lot in terms of what it really means. We all know home field, all that stuff is factored into it, but I don't really, and one of the things I do in Landry football is I do break down the games each week, and I look at it and I grade it, and I give kind of an idea how I think it is. So, I mean, I know I've heard a lot of people say, well, I like to use it for my gambling, but I do it based upon how it looks this week, how teams are playing, who's healthy, those things. What is intriguing about this, the gamblers will tell you, because I know some people that do this, they feel like they have an edge by making a bet now in August on a game in November, because they really feel like they know better than most of the betting public on who's better. However, there's a risk with it. God forbid the starting quarterback on Team A or Team B goes down. All of a sudden, you just put your money in August on something that you look back and, mid-September, and you say, boy, I wouldn't have done that if I'd known that. So that's the thing about it, is that's why it's called gambling, right? And that's why the buildings are so big in Vegas.
Yeah, I can give you a recent example. I mean, Alabama, I believe, still wins the national title if they don't lose the two of the most talented wide receivers in the nation last year. If they don't have injuries in the running back room, I still think they win it all. I know Amanda wants to jump in there as well, but I'll just ask you today's tough question, and if people want to take part, feel free to give us some questions for Chris on our chat board. But our question was simple. It was 5.5. Is that too low, just right, or too high? Just looking at personnel, and if you even want to make this at a neutral site, Chris, who would you favor in this game?
I think I'll say this. It would be closer than 5 points. To me, it would be maybe a 2 point right now. If I had to bet it, which I would not do for the reasons that I mentioned, no, I think it's closer than that. I think it's a toss-up game, which, 5.5 is a little high for me. I mean, if you told me I had to put $5 down on it one way or the other today, I'd just say, well, I'm going to put 5 on Florida and get 5.5 points, just because that's a lot of, now again, it's $5. So if it turns out that Florida's not quite as good and Richardson's injured, whatever, then obviously that $5 is not well spent. But
fair enough. Amanda, I know you want to jump in there. Go right ahead. And if people have questions about Chris and their favorite team, you can get on board now, because I want to ask you about the Cowboys here in a second. All right, go, Amanda.
So I know what's crazy is, after looking at the odds of the Florida-Tennessee game, I also looked at the odds of, DraftKings had odds for Tennessee-Georgia and Tennessee-Alabama. They actually have Georgia favored by more against Tennessee than they have Alabama favored against Tennessee.
Say that again. They have Georgia favored By how much?
Yeah.
What would they have?
I think Georgia's favored 15.5 and Alabama's favored 13 over Tennessee.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Found that very
And
strange.
yeah, that is interesting. No,
I don't
it
believe
didn't hear.
Georgia's going to be that good. I just don't.
Well, it'll be interesting to see that line is intriguing to me. I would have said, not really, and not being an odds maker, I would have put it at maybe 15 to 18, favorite for both Georgia and Alabama, but pretty much equal. The fact that and refresh me. Hey, this may be the answer. Where is I should know this. Where is the Georgia Tennessee game? That is
the Alabama game. The Alabama game is in Knoxville, and the Georgia game is.
That's it. That's the answer. That's the answer right there.
Yeah.
So Georgia's on the road. So that's the answer. So it's really maybe what would you say, a point? Alabama would be on a neutral site, maybe a point more favored over Tennessee than Georgia. So that makes sense. It's the home field, and I didn't know off the hand that's it. I think that's about right, to be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, again, I just finished predicting. I just think that Georgia, talent-wise, is on a different level than Tennessee, and I would probably say two touchdowns is about what it would be in terms of personnel-wise going into the season. Now, again, how it looks on the week of before November 5th, well, if I do well enough, hopefully I'll be back in the week of November 5th to tell you how I feel about that game. But right now, that's kind of how I would see it. I think the SEC East is Georgia, and then there's a gap, quite a sizable gap. And then and that's why when people say, who's going to finish second? I think Georgia's on a different level, and Georgia's kind of what Alabama is approaching where Alabama's been. Yeah, their level of, well, they're not as good as last year is kind of like Alabama. Well, they're a little bit better this year than they were last year, and they weren't as good last year as they were the year before. That's kind of where Georgia is. They just reload. The talent level on defense, they lost all those players to the NFL. They're not going to be as good as they were last year. They don't need to be. They're not playing last year's team. They're going to be really good. I think they're one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the country without a doubt in my mind. And I think that only Alabama and Georgia fit that category in the SEC.
Chris, I want to ask you about Darnell Wright because typically my antenna tends to go up when I hear this phrase. That is, it's just as easy to play right tackle. He can move to right tackle. He's selfless. He is a guy that is opening the door for other people to play left tackle. Well, you and I both know that left tackle is the sexier of the two positions. So let me ask you this. Am I being told what the coaches want Tennessee's fan base to think about Darnell Wright, who may move to the right side after starting at left tackle all year last year? Or is he the special athlete that I've been told that he is? When you watch him on tape, what do you see out of Darnell Wright?
No, he's really good athlete. A couple of things on playing the left side and right side.
Okay.
The big thing that is probably underestimated is being in a left-handed stance, a right-handed stance. That is quite a bit different. It's not to the degree of batting left-handed or right-handed, but it's pretty big. But in this system, a couple of things. You want to have 2 tackles that have left tackle athleticism, or what we normally call blindside athleticism, because you've got 3 wides, you may have a tight end flex, you have back, so you've got to block without much help. You don't usually see a lot of tight end help in blocking in this scheme. So I think the flexibility of getting your 5 best, a lot of things that they do is they play in a lot of 2-point stances. So that eliminates the left and right side difficulty. Left and right hand side is more of an issue when you're really into coming off the ball, run blocking. But in pass blocking, it's a little bit more seamless to go left and right. So I think it's more doable. And what they're doing, and this is the time to do it, is to experiment and try to get your best 5, because the one thing that is different about, Dave, the left side and the right side, and you're right, the left side is the sexier one. And for people to know, the left side is because most quarterbacks are right-handed, and that's protecting the blind side. But what defenses are doing today is they're trying to, like water seeks its level, we're going to find where you're weak. So they'll overload and they'll move pass rushers on your weak side. So if you've got a weaker right tackle in terms of pass blocking, they'll shift their best pass rusher and put them over the right side to get your right tackle in trouble, which is why oftentimes you need to give the right side is also the side offensively where you normally line up your tight end. You line them up on the left side, but mostly on the right side. And you've got a right tackle and a tight end, whereas the left tackle is usually left by itself. But in today's game where there's a little bit more of we're going to move guys to try to create advantages to where you can't block them, I think it's more about getting the best athlete. And if you can handle being on the right side, then I think that's what you try to do. You try to get 2 guys with good feet on bookend sides.
Chris's appearance brought to you in part by Steve Ray's Midnight Oil and Craft Treats. Craft Treats has all the wood pellets that you need. It has all the wood chips. It has the sauce and the rub right there in Ottawa, crafttreats.com. Amanda?
So I'm just seeing a question by one of our listeners, and he says he lives near Memphis, and he's surrounded by delusional Ole Miss fans that think there'll be a 10-win season. How close or far off are they?
Well, here's the thing about, and I always look at the how many games a team's going to win. Sometimes I look at a team and I say, and I do this in the NFL and college. So in college, you say, a team looks like a 9-win team. But if the schedule's a little weaker, 9 could easily become 10, or if it's tougher, 9 can become 8. And if you look at it, their schedule is pretty favorable. I mean, they're 4-0 without much difficulty. They've got Vanderbilt, that's 5, Auburn, which is gettable, 6.
Yeah.
I think if you look at it, you start there even with the losses, and the question marks that they have. There's a good record, but Kentucky's going to be a real interesting matchup because it's a difference in styles. LSU, maybe you're getting LSU at the right time, but it's on the road. A&M, you don't have to play. They don't have Georgia on the schedule. They do have Georgia Tech. So if you look at it, I mean, they're not beating Alabama. Arkansas is a challenge. Mississippi State's always that type of challenge. A&M's a challenge. So I don't think 10, but I think 9 is doable with this schedule. They look like, to me, an 8-4 type team with a 9-3 type schedule. 10 means that, in my opinion, that they're getting so bad. I thought last year they were really good, but I think they benefited. It beat an LSU team that was, in collapse. And again, maybe they get LSU this year, but on the road, I'm not so sure. That's going to be a challenge. And no, I'd say that they fall short of that, but their schedule's definitely favorable for a great start anyway.
Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. Again, his appearance brought to you in part by Allison's Barbecue. So check them out for your barbecue needs. Let me ask you a question, because Amanda and I had a bit of a debate a couple weeks ago on this, because I said something that I think kind of rubbed her the wrong way, and that was,
I agree with Amanda. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I said that I thought that there is a glass ceiling at a couple of schools. And I can't remember, because I've said it about 2 with Amanda. One was South Carolina, one was Ole Miss. I can't remember which one I was referring to. But how many schools out there, Chris, do you think believe that they can win an SEC title? And how many schools actually can? So we know there's the Vanderbilts and the Missouris that can't, right? And then we know
I don't think they believe they can.
Okay, well, they just can't. So,
except Clark Lee, we expect to get Vanderbilt to the best program in the country.
Yes.
That was one of those things that you say, dude, I mean, come on.
Oh, man.
You can oversell. Yeah, you can oversell it.
Yeah, you want to As
bless you.
somebody that's been in sales, you want to level set expectations. You don't want to go in and say you're going to be the greatest thing since French bread. Somebody suggested Kentucky. But let me ask you this, Chris. So who are the programs, and Amanda's right, they don't believe that they can actually compete. But who are the programs right now that you believe their fan bases think they can actually win a SEC championship that probably can't?
Well, okay, in the SEC, right?
Yes, just the SEC.
Okay. Well, first of all,
Alabama can.
Let's start this way if we could.
Okay.
Who can? Let's look at history. If you think about blue blood programs outside of Florida State and Miami, which historically, now I'm old, younger people, man, will know Florida State and Miami to be really, really good. Well, they only got good in the late 70s, early 80s. And there's a reason for that. Florida was not a program that was, they were nothing. I remember Bear Bryant back in the day said, if they ever get the right guy over there, we're all playing for second. And so Florida schools are a little bit of the anomaly because of the population boom in the 70s and 80s and so forth. Think about it. Name me the non-traditional football school that has won a national title. It doesn't happen. College football is the most, chalky, high echelon, only a few schools can win it. Florida, I'm going to go in the East. Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee. They've won national titles. The others haven't. South Carolina's won one conference title in their history. 1969 in the ACC with Coach Paul Dietzel. You're not winning a title at South Carolina. You're not winning a national title at Kentucky in football. You're not winning an advantage. It's not going to happen in the West. Look, we know what Alabama is. LSU's done it. Auburn has done it, and guys, that they are the most merry-go-round team, up and down. But they've done it. I think and if you look at it, A&M has not done it since the early 50s, mid 50s. They have the look of resource-wise that they could potentially get there. But if you look at it, Ole Miss has never – they've got two claim title. And, of course, in the modern area, people will look and say, we won they got two claim titles that, back when they won, they would anoint a national title before the bowl games. So, look, Ole Miss in the modern era has not done anything. They've been really good, but no. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas is a program that won under Frank Broyles in the Southwest Conference. They don't have the look now, even though there's a lot of money. They've got the Tyson Chicken money, they've got the Walmart money, they've got the trucker guy, I forget the name, money, but they don't look like it. So to be honest with you, there are 6 schools, and if you want to throw in A&M with potential, that can win it. So the rest of them, when I get the question from an Ole Miss fan or a South Carolina fan or a Kentucky fan, when are we going to take the next? When is Mark Stoops going to get Kentucky to the next level in the East? Are you mental? They are at the next step.
Are you mental?
They are at the next step. Missouri won the East twice. Why? Tennessee was down. Florida was down. Georgia was screwing the pooch. Everything. So, it's like it doesn't happen. So none of them have a chance to win the national title. Let me say this real quick because I'm going too long. One thing I think will be interesting is when we go to a 12 or 16 team playoff, wherever we do, it might be interesting, though, because right now, Ole Miss, South Carolina, if you get a really good program, you're not going to the national play because you're not going to win the SEC, and you're not going to be the second team in the, But we go to 12 and 16 teams on Ole Miss or South Carolina, whoever, if you start winning, 10 games, you might get into the playoffs. Now, you're not going to advance and win a national title, but at least you can get into the playoffs, and now you can sell. We've been in the playoffs 3 of the last 5 years. Now you might have gradual improvement. And look, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know that, when Nick Saban retires, how far Alabama will drop. But we know this, Ole Miss doesn't have the resources to do what the other schools do. That's why Lane Kiffin tried to get the LSU job, the Florida job, the Oregon job. He knows that getting it done at Ole Miss is going to a New Year's Day bowl game. It ain't going to a national championship. They will say that, but they're whistling Dixie. It doesn't happen. History says it. It has not happened. It just doesn't.
Do you think the NIL changes that at all?
No, I think it makes it more unlikely unless you have the money. So A&M, for example, A&M doesn't have any better history of winning titles than Ole Miss, but NIL gives them a real good chance, right? They got far more money. A&M's got far more money than Florida State. Jimbo Fisher left Florida State, a place that Bobby Bowden built into a national power where they went like 10 years not finishing lower than third in the country. But the game has changed. Jimbo left because he wasn't getting as much money for the program. Their fundraising wasn't as good. They've gotten it better, but they're so far behind a Clemson, for example, in the conference. That's why they've slipped. Well, A&M could spend that type of money. So whether it's Jimbo or somebody, that can make it change, Amanda. But if you're Ole Miss, South Carolina, what could make it change is if you have boosters that can spend enough money to make you a power in the future, even though you haven't been a power in the past. But do you have that? Well, Ole Miss doesn't have that. So if they can match money, sure, it could change. Oregon's a perfect example. I mean, Phil Knight, they can spend as much money as any. Will they? Don't look. Vanderbilt has as much money as anybody. They could outspend anybody. They're not going to spend it on football or on athletics. But so do you have the money and are you willing to spend it? The budget for, this is why, listen to Lane for an Ole Miss fan. Listen to why Lane Kiffin makes the comments about, he doesn't like the NIL. He would love the NIL if it was at Texas A&M. He hates it now. Why? Because it's an uphill battle. So I think it can change it, Amanda, but change it for whom? It really,
Right.
The rich are going to get richer. Alabama's they can spend the money. And I think Alabama can separate even from an LSU because the NIL money at an LSU is not going to be the same at Alabama, not going to be the same at A&M. So I think it really depends on where you are.
Chris, great stuff as always. LandryFootball.com. You will learn more about football than all of your friends and more than you could ever have possibly dreamed. Chris, we will talk to you soon. We'll talk to you Thursday, as a matter of fact, as we're getting close. Camps continue, so we'll break down Tennessee's scrimmage that's going to be on Tuesday night, so we'll get your thoughts on who stood out. Great stuff, Chris. We will talk to you soon. Have a fantastic Monday.
Hey, thanks. You guys have a great Monday.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Chris.
you. Take
Chris
care.
Landry.
Bye-bye.
And Danny nice enough to say that good morning, Dave, and a special good morning to Amanda. That was sweet.
Good morning. That's very sweet. Thank you.
And then
Good
said
morning.
Amanda is 100% cute.
My nephew is 100% cute.
Amanda's cuteness brought to you by Pedigo Chattanooga, a locally owned store where you'll be treated like family. The region's foremost electric bike experts, they put their hearts into helping you find the perfect electric bike and get the most out of it for many years to come, and they've got service. And Amanda, for the first time, gosh, I've known you for like almost 20 years, and I think she's blushing.
You've not known me for 20 years.
10, 8.
10, that's not 20.
Yeah, and she's blushing for the first time in a decade.
It's very nice. I'm sorry. I think it's very nice.
Don't get meek on me. Look at
I'm
you.
not.
Back in 2 minutes.
It's Gary Viles here, Viles Automotive on Callahan Drive. I've been selling cars here in East Tennessee for 27 years. In that time, I've come to realize it's not about the car. It's about you, the customer. So I'm here to take care of you just like family. Good credit, bad credit, you name it, we can get you taken care of. If we don't have it, we can find it for you. We go across the country to get any vehicle that you want. And here at Viles Automotive, we don't believe in fake numbers. We just give you great deals. And as always, we want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassey Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassey, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Bassey's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Bassey Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
This is Steve Rain. I own the Midnight Oil and Michelin Tire Direct service station here in Ottawa. It's not a fancy place, never has been, but it's a clean place with clean restrooms and good folks who work here. We sell gas and fix cars, nothing glamorous, but we love what we do, and we're going to keep doing it for a long time to come. There's not many real service stations left, and that's a shame. We're the guys just like the guys back in your hometown. We'll fix your tire, change your oil, and put a new set of Michelins on your car. If you want a Twinkie, you'll just have to keep on going. Thanks for the business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
With Amanda LaFratta, I'm Dave Hooker. Let's get to Jacob Warren talks about some shoes. But first, I want to reset today's tough question. Where were we on that? I know we threw that out about an hour ago, so I'm probably dominating. What was the question?
We did not throw it out an hour ago.
Well, give or take. So what was their question for today's tough question before we get to Jacob?
So our question for today's tough question was, we did the DraftKings has the line out for Tennessee, Florida, with Tennessee favored 5.5. So we asked, Tennessee, Florida line is set at 5.5 in favor of the Vols. What should it be? And we had less than 5.5, more than 5.5. 5.5 is right on the money. It should favor Florida. It's actually pretty divided. 35% say that 5.5 is right on the money, and that's the one that's winning, or actually just changed. So 33.3% say 5.5 is right on the money. And then what coming up next, tied, is more than 5.5, or it should favor Florida at 23.8%. And then 19% say less than 5.5.
My answer, whatever category that would fall in, would be Tennessee should be about a 2.5 point favorite at home. That's just
my answer. My vote was that 5.5 is right on the money. I'm going to go with Vegas.
Okay. Well, no, I'm not doubting that they know more than me. They do. But if you would have asked me yesterday before you told me the number was out, what do I think the number will be? I would have said 2.5, 3. So I'll stick with that just as to be a part of today's tough question. So today's tough question brought to you by Zool Beer Company before we get to Jacob Warren. And man, they've got flavors coming out all the time at Zool Beer Company. They are award-winning worldwide, and they're also in downtown Knoxville with a great panoramic view of the city. You'll love it.
Yeah, they're off East 5th. So if you haven't been there, join. Sorry, my dog is doing something. Join, go to Zool Beer. They have a new sour, Tech Noir. It's mixed with a bunch of different fruit. Everything, all their sours are heavily fruited. Their seltzers are amazing, heavily fruited there as well. Just all around great beer.
They had a beer. I haven't tried it. I'm sure it's good. I have no doubts. But it looked like a VHS. You remember it was VHS, and just the packaging and the marketing I thought was so interesting because it made me think of what would you do every once in a while when you saved up some money as a kid. Now, this is how old I am. You would go buy a bunch of VHS tapes so you could record stuff off the TV and watch it again. But they were expensive. I mean, they were like $49 for 10 tapes, if I remember correctly. So that was a lot of money for like a 16-year-old.
That feels like a lot. And I don't feel like with inflation today that those are accurate numbers.
Check my numbers on that. What does a VHS tape cost in, let's say, when I was an umpire, and I remember it was a significant amount. So I'm going to say 1992. Can we check VHS tapes in 1992? So let's get to now. We're got a debate.
I'm checking.
Got a debate over Amanda being cute.
Oh my gosh.
Jacob Warren is not cute. He's manly and tough, and he talks about his good buddy and the guy that he spends the most time with on the road because they're roommates. Here is Jacob Warren talking about Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker, maybe his shoes. It's got to be the shoes.
I guess a little bit about him, and everybody kind of knows a little bit, but Hendon's super big into like fashion and streetwear, sneakers, designer, like all that stuff. And I think one thing that's kind of cool with our bond, our connection, is we talk a lot about sneakers. Like, obviously, you guys can see them behind me a little bit. Like, that's just a few of them. But like we talk about sneakers, we talk about clothes, we talk about releases, we talk about all this different type of stuff. And he knows a lot about it, and he's really interested in it. So that's one thing I enjoy. But I think just him as a guy, like, very easy to talk to, very easygoing. I don't know, when asked if I guess think about a story, I can't really think of like a specific time, but like I vividly remember and I appreciate the fact that we were roommates in our hotels, like on the road and stuff, and when we're in town before the games. And every morning before the game, without fail, he's waking up and he puts on like gospel music, listens to gospel music, sings it unashamedly. We'll just sing it out loud. And I really appreciate it just because, like, you know, it's nothing crazy, but just showing that he not ashamed and he's just trying to get right with the Lord before a big game. And that's one thing that I truly appreciate about him, I guess, that comes to mind.
Good stuff. And I'm kind of waiting for somebody to say, hey, you guys are being Bible thumpers and talking about playing gospel music and all that sort of thing. But regardless of what I believe, I mean, I happen to be Christian, but regardless of what I believe, I find it refreshing, Amanda, that they believe in, that everybody believes in something after what our country's been through. For a 19, 20, 21-year-old to have a little bit of faith when they had to spend a good part of their college or high school years sitting staring at a computer screen because of COVID. I mean, I just believe in anything. I mean, slight exaggeration, but have a belief system in place, and I think you'll have a better life. And I'm happy for those players. Happens to be Christian, happens what we believe, but it doesn't affect how I address it from day to day. They were the ones playing Christian music on Sunday, and I thought it was pretty cool.
I like the fact that, I mean, despite what you believe in, at least these players who have been told since they were like probably 10 that they're the best thing that's ever walked the earth in football, because you know they had to be to get where they are, that they're gods and, you know, in their own right. For someone like Hendon Hooker, who is in the spotlight all the time and starting at a Division I school like Tennessee in the SEC, for him to have something else, have some other kind of faith in something else besides himself, I think is really speaks a lot to his character and to the people that raised him, honestly.
Agreed. I want to take and the guy, I talked to him at SEC Media Days. He didn't talk about being a professional football player. He talked about how he wanted to be a guy that teaches football and is able to lead the people to the Lord through football. I mean, I don't think you come in and say that unless you truly believe it. D. Blair says that shows self-confidence and conviction. Young people are often ostracized for their beliefs today. I couldn't put it in better words myself. As a matter of fact, D. Blair might steal that and write something about that today. It just might happen. So that's a perfect way of putting it. All right. So do you want to get to, I do mean that is nice. You don't think that's nice?
No, I did. I said that's nice.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that would be a good thing to write about. I do want to answer your question though about the VHS tapes, Mr. $49 for a pack.
Okay, I'm gonna get rid of it. Let me say one thing. Be sure we did our research. You do your research, And 80% of the people that watch this video are not subscribed. So just stop what you're doing. Click the subscribe button and the like button right now, and we'll bring you this content and more. But this in particular show every day at 9 o'clock. I'm sorry, Amanda. Go ahead. Eastern.
Fine. And thank you for the people who have subscribed, because we've skyrocketed.
I think it's
So
safe
it's
to
been
say
really
it's gone maybe better than even I dreamed, and I tend to be overly optimistic.
Yeah,
So
and you do. Okay. So this is in the late 80s. The late 80s. So this is
late
not
80s. Okay. How much does a 10-pack of VHS tapes cost? I'm going to go with $49.99.
You're not even close.
Oh, no.
Not even close.
No.
So if you just bought one, it was $2.99.
Well, I'm kind of close.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
And then if you bought them in bundles, that ranges from 3, 5, or 10. They range from $10 to $25 at the highest for the high quality stuff. It was $25 for 10. So calm down.
Okay, is anybody old enough
$50.
that's listening right now, and if you are, there might be a prize in it for you, that remembers what happened before Blockbuster and the mom and pops? Does anybody remember this? So the electronics store, when I was like 14, 15, now we're talking about the Circuit Cities of the world. There was another one that's next to McKay's on Kingston Pike. I can't remember the name of it. So what you would do, Amanda, this is how it worked. You would go in, and JL asked if you could check the beta prices. I'd appreciate that. But you would go in, Amanda. First, you'd have to join a club like it's a gym, okay? And it's not nearly as awesome as the Sports Barn, which is the premier gym here in Chattanooga. So you need to check out the Sports Barn. Great rates. They'll take care of you all the time.
Okay.
But you would have to join this VHS or beta club. You could choose, JL, between beta or VHS. So you choose between the two. It was like $99 to be in the club, and then another $19 to rent the video, which was fairly new release. Seems like it was a little quicker than it is now when they get released on streaming, but still, it's a 2-month-old movie. It just, at the end of the day, you were committing about $250, $300 to being able to see movies. That's how incredible it was back then. And people lined up to pay it, and they had no problem. BBB TV 12 say I used to buy VHS a box of 50. I would usually buy at least 200 at a time, and it'd be $1.25 each. Okay, fine. I just remembered it incorrectly. I'm wrong.
I have beta. The Beta Max prices.
I love
if
the
you want
fish.
those.
Did you remember when Beta, the people who made those videotapes, branched off into fish?
I have no idea what you're talking
Beta's
about.
the little Beta fish. Joking, they were around before Beta. Go ahead.
Okay. So in 1980, the L250, which was it's an hour and a half tape, was $12.95. The L500, which is a 3-hour tape, I'm pretty sure we can all do the math now, was $16.95, and the L750 was $20.95.
The information that you just can't get anywhere else, brought to you by Big Orange Phillies, because you can't get that food anywhere else at Big Orange Phillies. It is in the heart of Halls, a Maynardville Pike. It is easy to find. You will love it. Big Orange Phillies knows that quick doesn't mean stale. We're talking about fresh food. Big Orange Phillies, karaoke, darts, the whole 9 yards. They've got billiards, and we've got big news about something that's happened to Big Orange Phillies before long. But right now, it's in the heart of Hall. So certainly check it out. All right, Amanda LaFratta. So we're now, in case for those that haven't found out, expanding to an hour and a half, thanks to our incredible sponsors and listenership and the way things have gone, and we couldn't be happier. So I will ask you, Amanda, at this point, we do have a little bit of flexibility here, but it feels like to me that we do this day in sports history right now. Why? Because I did an element for that one too. So can we do that?
Right. Yes, and then we can do message board bingo.
Oh, message board bingo's happening.
Obviously.
I mean, every day message board bingo, and you sent me one again last night. You gotta stop sending them to me because I can't.
They're really good,
I
though.
want to read about them so bad. I don't want to know who the fan base is though, because so I try to I even put my finger above it so I can see. But it's this day in sports history, and it's brought to you by our friends at Viles Automotive Group. This day in sports history. Sometimes it even plays, Amanda. That's when it's more exciting.
This day
Yeah, I was
in
waiting.
sports history, putting things in perspective, exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
You're so old. When you were a kid, rainbows were black and white.
And Amanda LaFratta.
New Kids on the Block just called. They wanted you as a backup dancer.
Backup dancer.
You could be a backup dancer for New Kids on the Block.
I wouldn't have been very good if I were, 3.
What's that kid doing? She's jamming. This day in sports history brought to you by Viles Automotive Group. It is right there in downtown Powell on Callahan. Viles Automotive Group has the selection, the service, everything you need. Viles Automotive Group. So Amanda LaFratta, this day in sports history, we did miss a couple of good ones recently because the website we work with kind of releases them at different times, just to be real honest with you. But the one we missed on Friday was when Robin Ventura decided that it would be a good idea to run out to the mound, and this guy named Nolan Ryan was pitching. And usually that's shoving and fake punching and all that stuff. But this turned into Nolan Ryan taking Robin Ventura into a headlock and punching him in the face multiple times, which, let's just say, did not go well for Robin Ventura. I don't know what he did after that. I don't know how his face felt, but
probably not great.
I can tell you one thing. Everybody looked at him different from that point forward because he just ran out to the mound like some kind of Billy Bad, you know what, and got his rear beat by a 45-year-old man at the time. But anyway, this day in sports history today is what, Amanda?
What?
This day in sports history is what? What do we have? I thought you had something for us.
No, I have message board bingo. I don't have sports.
Oh,
sports
so we're not
history is all you.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go to message board bingo then.
I was so confused for a second.
No, I'm going to go ahead and do this day in sports history since I said it would. So this day in sports history, let's take a look. All right. So I also saw have you noticed that whoever runs this day in sports history absolutely has Pete Rose on almost every day because he does something this time of year. And I think there might be an agenda there to get him in the Hall of Fame, but that's just me. And you think he should be, and I think he should not, correct?
I think he should be. Hall of Fame.
Okay. Well, we can agree to disagree. I think we're both smart people. So this day in sports history, what happened and was it exciting? A little bit of slim pickings. The New York Yankees honor Casey Stengel, who retired his number 37. And this day in sports history, the Texas Rangers turned their first triple play. And Olympic gold, Russell, I know you're questioning this, Russell Courts of New Zealand wins the Finn class sailing gold medal. So you were on the edge of your seat for that, Amanda. So I'll bring you that.
Yeah.
Johnny Bench hit 327 hits as a catcher. And there's our Pete Rose. He begins a 5-month prison term at Marion Federal Prison Camp. That was a complete accident. I did not know that I was going to scroll down and he was going to be in prison. Why did he go to prison? I can't even remember that.
Who you asking? I don't know.
I
don't know.
All right, Amanda. So that's this day in sports history. And it really comes down to the fact that Pete Rose did indeed go to prison on this day in sports history back in 1990. But also the 1992, you may have heard of this basketball team. It had some dudes on it. They won the gold and the gold medal. Yeah, it had some dudes.
No LeBron, though. So
no, so it doesn't matter. It's pre-LeBron's not basketball. So They won the gold medal today. It was Michael Jordan, Magic, Larry, Scottie Pippen, Charles Barkley, for some reason Christian Laettner. But it was a group that it was one of those things, kind of like the college football playoff, to take you back, Amanda, since you're younger than me, that you wanted to happen for, like, at the time I was only 18, so it's not like I wanted to happen forever. But I do know I wanted it to happen for at least a couple Olympic cycles, which would have been 8 years. I do know that I wanted the college football playoff of some shape, form, or fashion to happen, and that was about 20 years. But that was one of the big things that happened that you're like, to remind you that sports is fun. And that team, who I know quite well because I have to play with them while my son plays with last year's Portland Trailblazers in order for the game to be even close. So I know that team well. I play with the dream team all the time, and he plays with a random NBA team from last year and still wins. So, but that team was though it's those reminders that come into play, kind of like Tennessee's baseball team last year. Sports are supposed to be fun. That was a fun thing. I don't want to get dunked on by Charles Barkley, but I enjoyed watching other people get dunked on by Charles Barkley.
Well, who didn't? Who didn't enjoy that? Except for the other people.
Okay, if you could get now, this is way, way random. And if you want to go ahead and get on board, you can tell us what sporting event, if you could go back in history, would you want to watch. So this is mine. This is mine. And it's not even an actual game. It's a practice. If I could go back and watch, they said it was like about the 5th or 6th practice between the dream team, inter-squad practice. And this is the point. You got to remember, Michael Jordan, excuse me, had not won 6 championships yet. At the same time, Bird and Magic had won 6 championships at the same time. So there was this going into it of whose NBA is this? Well, clearly we know what happened. It turned out to be Michael Jordan. But they said the greatest basketball game ever played is they let them go out there and they split up squads. And basically that's the moment where Jordan asserted himself as the star of the NBA. Was in that practice that basically he had the lesser team and he said, I'm just going to win anyway. They said the trash talking was through the roof. There were a grand total of about 8 spectators there just because they were the reporters. And I've been told it's the greatest basketball game that's ever been played. That is my one thing. If I could go back and I had to spend $10,000 on a sporting event, and I'm not used to spending money on sporting events, that would be the one I would sit on the bench and watch. How much fun would we have watching that? They said it would be. They said it started like with Magic. This is my NBA, young one, and by the end of it, Jordan was like, "Whose NBA is it now?
Who's your daddy?"
Well. Magic was old enough to be the daddy, but so
probably the daddy of a lot of people too. Let's not play.
Well, there's a possibility of that. Did you like the winning time thing? Did you watch that?
The winning time? Oh no, you're talking about the Jordan thing?
No, it came out on HBO. It was a loose, very, very more like a docudrama about the first Lakers team in the 80s with Magic as a rookie that won the championship. It's good if you go into it knowing that it's a little bit salacious and that these people were not as bad as they're led on to believe. I mean, they make Jerry West look like a goofball. I mean, Jerry West is not a goofball. He's one of the greatest players of all time. He's the logo, for goodness sake. Cameron says Lion versus Eagles, Megatron snow game, history in the making.
Was that a Thanksgiving game or no?
I think it was a Thanksgiving game.
Was it? I can't remember if it was or not.
Pretty good Megatron call out as the Lions continue to run away good players. Be it Stafford, be it Barry, be it Cal.
But touche to Megatron for sticking around his entire career. He could have gone somewhere else and won a ring, but he didn't.
No, he definitely could have gone somewhere else. I guess, though, did he leave early because of what happened? I think so. Don't you? I mean, he had a good 3 or 4 or 5 years left in him, in my opinion.
I mean, he did, but not all players want to, stay. Like I just had I just saw a meme the other night that was, the guy and the girl where the girl's like looking over her shoulder and they're laying in bed and the guy's like thinking about something and she's like, I bet he's thinking about cheating on me or something. And the guy's laying there and his thought bubble was like, I can't believe Andrew Luck is only 32.
Nice.
It's like Andrew Luck left way early. You know what I mean?
Oh, super early. Yeah, but the
Yeah.
money had changed then. Like when Barry Sanders left, he was rich, but was he wealthy, like change his great grandkids' money? I don't know. But at least when your guy left,
Okay, it's not
Andrew
my
Luck,
guy. It's not
I
my
know,
guy.
it's the greatest impression. And you brought him up a couple of times, so I thought maybe you were fond of him.
No, I'm not fond of him. I'm just using him as an example.
Ask me something and I will respond. Yeah, I got a better idea. Message board bingo is now, and I'm going to do it as Andrew Luck.
Please don't.
Okay, well then just ask me a question about football.
Well, you can't do it as Andrew Luck because Andrew Luck would get all of them correct because he went to Stanford.
Are you saying that Andrew Luck's smarter, maybe more athletic than me?
I'm just saying that's a possibility that we need to consider.
Let's go to message board bingo.
Okay.
That is now message board bingo. We don't have our official bed for that. We're gonna have an awesome Gran Torino band in, a bed in from that band, but we don't have that yet. So do you want me to go with one of our other music beds that I know you love? This would be called hip. Now this is not bad. You don't hate this. You're kind of into this.
What would give you that impression?
It's the look. It's just you're giving me the look for those listening on video that you're kind of like, hey, Dave, I'm really digging this vibe.
Look, you are so lucky that you found your wife when you did, because if a girl is giving you the look that I just gave you, she is not approachable. Nope, not interested.
It's just about
not interested.
It's about persistence. All right, so message board bingo. What fan base looks the dumbest on August the 8th? Shoot.
Okay. I will give you a short one to start out with.
Okay.
So this fan says, Saban was promising, BK is proven.
BK Saban. Okay, Saban was. Now, Saban was promising when he went to LSU. He was proven when he went to Alabama. He was going to win championships at Alabama. I knew that. I didn't know it would be as many as he did. BK. Brian Kelly. It's an LSU fan.
Oh, Andrew Luck. Good for you.
There we go. Take the.
No, you didn't do it in Andrew Luck's voice. So you was. Okay. So Utah is okay, I'm gonna read it like it said. Utah is a part of the United States, and I love the United States, but on September 3rd, Utah might as well be China. So
that is
September 3rd.
That is BYU.
No, I'm gonna finish this. On September 3rd, 4 asterisks, Utah. They said 5 asterisks, but I think they mean 4. That is all. If you do not agree, I don't give an F. Write your Congress pronoun of your choice. So you guess BYU.
Well, no, I want another guess now that.
No, that's your fault. Andrew Luck would have never jumped the gun.
I'm going to go out on a limb and just say it's Florida.
It is Florida.
Because they play on September 3rd.
Exactly. Right. I knew you were going to look it up, you little turd.
I didn't yesterday on Rutgers, and that was awesome. All right, so I'm 1-1.
Okay. So did you see the fan base of the one I sent you?
I didn't.
Okay, I'm gonna read it then. I'm gonna read it out loud, and I'm gonna let you guess, but mainly because I want to read this out loud. Okay, Arch Manning info from a friend who is a well-connected coach. Just passing this along for conversation. Not sure it is all correct, but the coach friend of mine knows everybody in football. Ole Miss boosters called Archie and offered $15 million for Arch. Don't know why they would call Archie, but that's fine. I know he went there clearly, but wouldn't you call Cooper? Anyway, Archie told them Peyton cannot stand Lane Kiffin because of his days at Tennessee, and that Peyton said he would give Arch the $15 million not to go to Ole Miss.
Okay.
Georgia offered Arch $11 million, and Eli and Archie liked Georgia because of Matt Luke.
Okay, all right. So
I gotta finish it.
Okay, keep going. The funny part is
Okay.
that all of this could have happened, but there is no way of knowing unless it's a Manning that it did happen. So it's
Yes.
totally
Okay.
Go ahead.
I gotta keep going. Texas got Arch for $12 million, but the family says that the recruitment is really not over yet. And if you remember when Arch committed to Texas, Kirby Smart said something like, "This is not over yet. This coach has given me solid info before. Could just be all talk, but thought it was interesting. And if Arch does flip, it might be an interesting afterthought."
Who would that be? Okay, who is in the final running? I will say that that's a Georgia fan.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. Yeah,
I think they are right behind Ohio State and just the craziest stuff I've ever read.
Interesting.
Like,
Well, tomorrow on the program, we are going to have a breakdown of your Florida Gators for those Florida fans out there and why Tennessee's a 5.5-point favorite. Also, as we do each and every day, we'll have today's tough question. We'll have message board bingo. We got it all going on. So have a fantastic day, everyone, for what was it she was called again? Let me see. For the 100% cute Amanda LaFratta, I'm Dave Hooker. Have a fantastic day, everyone. This is a production of